Well, President Trump is calling out Republicans who are standing in the way of his big, beautiful spending bill, pushing to get it passed by July 4th. But one person who is putting his foot down on this and is doing his level best to raise awareness about how bad this is Elon Musk, the head of Doge. He just posted this yesterday. "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore," he said. "This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." And Peter Doocy, for his part, and I appreciate Peter like asking tough questions, not just of like Karine Jean-Pierre, but asking tough questions of Carolyn Levitt. Like, hey, President Trump's friend, Elon Musk, just posted this on social media, and Peter Doocy asked her about it. Watch.
Something that just crossed, Caroline. How mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
All right, that's the answer.
Now, Elon Musk is telling the American people, ask your congressman, ask your senator, why are you voting for this? Did you read it all the way through? Do you understand how much debt it adds to the national deficit? He posted this a couple of hours ago, Kill Bill from the movie, because, again, he was put in front of the American people to dictate all of the things that we were spending wastefully. Sesame Street in Iraq, trans plays in South America, all kinds of things that he went and cut. But that was to the tune of millions and billions. This bill is supposed to add trillions. And, he's like, why did I spin my wheels doing this if Republicans are just going to do the same things that they did before?
So you've probably heard that RFK Jr., known for his sharp mind and relentless energy on the campaign trail, is taking methylene blue to stay focused, energized, mentally resilient. Well, now you can experience those same benefits with Recharge from the wellness company. This doctor-formulated neuroceutical is the first to combine methylene blue with urolithin A, creating a unique formula designed to optimize mitochondrial function, improve energy, and elevate cognitive performance. Methylene blue crosses the blood-brain barrier to enhance memory, focus, and executive function by increasing ATP production, the true fuel of our cells. It also works as a potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, helping to protect against aging and cellular damage. If you're looking for a real mental and physical edge, Recharge delivers. Get 10% off plus free shipping. Head over to twc.health/redacted. Use the code redacted. So get 10% off plus free shipping. Head over to twc.health/redacted. Feel the difference. Think clear. Recharge. Yeah, E.J. Antoni is a research fellow at the Heritage Foundation, the Grover N. Herman Center for the Federal Budget, and knows this stuff very, very deeply, and joins us today from Philadelphia. E.J., great to see you. Welcome back to the show. We've been, of course, beating the drum on this. We've had Congressman Thomas Massie on the show, Senator Ron Johnson coming up shortly about this, calling out that this is, you're kicking the can down the road here. The promise of future, like the promise that Congress is going to somehow be more efficient down the line. Like, when have they ever done that? What do you make of this pushback from certain Republicans in the Senate and Elon Musk on this bill?
Well, it's certainly understandable because this isn't really delivering on all of the things that we were promised. Now, all that being said, is it better than doing nothing? Probably, because if you do nothing here, you're going to see some pretty significant tax increases on the American middle class over the course of the budget window, which is a decade. So over the course of 10 years, it's going to amount to about $4.5 trillion in higher taxes on middle America. Clearly something we want to avoid. So again, the bill is good in that sense, but there's a lot of work to be done, I think, for the Senate to improve this thing, and it really does need to be improved. Now, not all of the spending cuts that DOJ identified, potential spending cuts, can actually be implemented here. The rules of reconciliation differentiate between mandatory spending and discretionary spending. This is why the president has already started sending rescission packages to Congress. Those are things which, just like reconciliation, only require a simple majority vote. But so again, let me put it this way. I understand where both sides are coming from. I understand why the White House and why Speaker Johnson are talking about this as the big, beautiful bill. And I also understand where Elon is coming from, where he's looking at the financial situation in our country and seeing it implode in real time. And he's very worried about that, as am I, quite frankly. The national debt, although it's $36.2 trillion right now, that's where it was at the start of the year. It stayed there because the debt ceiling has been in effect. And so Treasury has been burning through its cash account. At the same time, it takes different kinds of extraordinary measures in order to pay its bills. Those extraordinary measures would be things like not putting money into trust funds like Social Security and planning on doing that sometime in the future when it can borrow again. The issue here is that as soon as that debt ceiling is lifted, the Treasury is going to have to go on a massive borrowing spree to not only undo all of those extraordinary measures, but also replenish all of the cash that they have been burning through these last several months. That means that we're going to be at $38 trillion in debt literally by September. The problem is getting away from us, and very, very quickly.
Now, something that Thomas Massie said on Redacted last week is we don't need it in one big bill. If we have these priorities, we can tackle them one at a time and get Congress to sign off on them in piecemeal so that we're not adding crap to the bill. It's kind of like when you get a value meal at a fast food place because you think you're getting a deal and then you realize, oh, no, that's the same if I bought it a la carte. So then I can buy it a la carte. It's the same. So are we being sold a bill of goods?
Well, I'm going to take my monetary hat off and put on my political scientist hat for a second here. I think the big problem that they're running into right now, the Republicans in Congress, is the fact that the Democrats will give them zero help on anything. And so the only way they can get stuff done right now is with reconciliation, is with rescissions. That means if they want to add things like military spending so that we can replenish our depleted military reserves, so that we can actually finish building the border wall, so that we can get the funding we need for more people and more drones on the southern border, that's going to require all that stuff being thrown into reconciliation. There's just no way you're going to be able to do it outside of that because you're never going to get through that filibuster in the Senate. And obviously, the last thing the Democrats want is border security or a strong military. So that means we are forced into trying to jam pack everything we need into this bill. It's not a great solution, but I'm just not sure what the alternative is, unfortunately.
Well, you mentioned a couple of key issues that the Senate will need to really tackle here. So it seems like this thing is on its path to passing, but you've got voices in the Senate that are trying to stop this. So I agree with you on the tax cut piece of this, but what sort of big cuts can we expect from the Senate? Where can they draw some red lines here and then send it back to the House of Representatives and have some sort of, common ground? We got rid of all of these things. We got rid of all of these massive increases here that are going to be pushed down the line here. Are there some big cuts you would call out right now?
Oh, certainly. So there's two right off the top of my head. One has to do with all of these different entitlement programs, these welfare programs. They can put in much, much tighter restrictions to get rid of the abuse, the corruption, the fraud, the waste in these different programs to reduce the number of illegitimate payments that are going out the door. And in cases like Social Security, that's wonderful for the program because the more you reduce those illegitimate payments, the longer you prolong I should say you prolong the solvency of that trust fund, which means legitimate beneficiaries are going to get their payments for a longer period of time. Tightening up the restrictions on Medicaid will ensure that not just illegal aliens, but able-bodied men aren't getting these checks. That should be reserved for pregnant women. That should be reserved for the infirm, et cetera, the disabled. So there's that whole bucket. The other big thing they can do, and this is on the revenue side, although it technically is I guess, a spending item, is we got to get down the cap on salt. The amount that the House increased the salt deduction, the state and local tax deduction, was completely unacceptable. Look, this is a handout to essentially the Democrat donor class. This is a handout to high-income individuals in high-tax municipalities like New York City, like Chicago, like Los Angeles. And it is not a pro-growth tax cut. When you do things like reduce marginal tax rates, or when you get rid of the tax on tip or the tax on overtime, that greatly increases essentially how much pro-growth stimulus you have in the economy, because what it's doing is it's decreasing the penalty on work. And so if you contrast that with the SALT deduction, it's exactly the opposite. So increasing the SALT deduction is not only costly, it does nothing for economic growth.
Now, the other day I was driving, I saw a dude on the side of the highway with a sign, cardboard sign that said, "Save Medicaid." The bill does not actually intend to get rid of Medicaid. It just introduces stricter requirements to receive it. So what would you say to my freeway dwelling friend with a cardboard sign whose main opposition to this? This is the Democratic talking point, right? It's not very productive because there are other things that are worth our attention. But why are they hyper-focused on that? And what would you say to this dude?
Well, I would probably say nothing to him, because clearly if you're that far out of your right mind to stand outside with a cardboard sign that is so disconnected from reality, far be it from me to try to convince you otherwise. But let me try to convince the viewers, at least, on your great show. Look, the fact of the matter is this bill would increase, not decrease, increase Medicaid spending. Excuse me. Medicare is also going to go up, but Medicaid specifically is going up. It's just that it's going to go up at a slightly slower rate than it would before, and that has to do with the fact that, again, you're kicking illegal aliens off of the program, people who shouldn't be getting this money anyway. I mean, it's amazing how Democrats are throwing a fit right now that we're going to remove illegal aliens from a welfare program after Democrats have been telling us for years that illegal aliens aren't eligible for welfare programs anyway, and that's just a right-wing conspiracy or a conservative talking point or whatever other nomenclature they want to give to it. The fact of the matter is California has been flagrantly giving these illegal aliens all kinds of handouts. It's not just California, but they've been the biggest offender, despite the federal government saying, no, you're not allowed to do this. Under the Biden administration, they turned a blind eye. The Trump administration is trying to crack down on it. But the fact remains that currently you have millions of illegal aliens receiving all kinds of federal aid. They should be receiving zero because they shouldn't even be here in the first place.
EJ and Tony, a great answer. Always great to see you. Thank you so much for your perspective on this. We'll all be watching. Just final word here, 10 seconds. Do you think this thing is going to pass without any major cuts, going to fly through the Senate?
No, I think you are going to see some revisions to it. I'm not quite sure how major or minor, but there's definitely going to be some revisions. It's not going to be a clean carbon copy of the House bill.
All right. EJ, great to see you. Thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.